So what we're going to do today is we're done solving. What we're going to do now is we're going to take an equation that's in standard form and transform it into vertex form. The reason vertex form is nice is because it actually gives you your vertex. Whereas when it's in standard form, you have to find the axis of symmetry, take the axis of symmetry and plug it in, and then you have your vertex. This is just another way of finding the vertex and having an equation, and you can really talk about your transformations. We're going to use completing the square, but it's going to be a little different because we have an x instead of a 0. We're not solving for x, but we have to use that completing the square. So I actually have quite a few examples for us that are not on this page. So we're going to do two examples in each box and flip it over. But what I wanted to show you is that when you do this, you have your equation, and then you're going to actually do this. And that will make a little bit more sense when we get into when we do a problem, okay? But it's basically, we're always going to subtract half of b squared. Just like we did when we completed the square. Do you remember that? We would take half of b and square it, and we'd add it to both sides. Well, we don't have both sides to add it from, so we're going to subtract it. So the first thing that we have to do, just like we did with completing the square, is a 1. Perfect. A is 1. So now what we're going to do is, okay, so where were we? Okay, so we took we know that A is 1. So we're going to rewrite this as y equals, and we're going to put parentheses around x squared plus 4x plus blank plus 6 minus blank. Okay, so notice what I did. I put parentheses around the A and the B, just like I would usually do in completing the square, and I moved C to the side, just like I would usually do. You guys remember, I can't move C to the other side. So we're going to do the same thing that we usually do. What is half of B squared? So B is 4, so what is half of B? 2. 2 squared is, so I'm going to put a 4 here, and I'm going to put a 4 here. So again, how did I get this? So I'm just writing this on the side, you guys. So it would be 4 divided by 2 squared, and that's how I got that number. And whatever you put there, you put there. Now, just in true completing the square fashion, we're going to rewrite the problem. Y equals x. This is plus, so this is plus. Take the square root of 4, we get 2. Square it, and 6 minus 4 is 2, and that's vertex form. And if we really wanted to get crazy, which, we'd love to get crazy in this class, the vertex, you would take, so this would be the opposite, so it's plus 2, you would write negative 2, and this is 2, and that's our vertex. So we wrote it in vertex form, and we found the vertex. Because Miss Fleury is a little crazy, she's going to put another example right here, because I feel like just that one, we need to do another one. So this is example 1A. Y equals x squared minus 2x plus 4. If you're at home, no, this example is nowhere to be found. I'm just adding it. Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask you is A 1? It is. So we can rewrite the equation. Y equals, and we're going to put parentheses around x squared minus 2x, and I'm going to add a blank, and then I'm going to put C to the side, so I just move C away, and then minus blank. So just like we did in completing the square, you guys, I would put a blank on one side of the equal sign and one side of the other equal sign. It's the kind of the same thing. The biggest thing that you have to remember in vertex form is it's always minus that blank, where before it wasn't minus. Okay, so again, we're going to take half of b and we're going to square it. So we're going to take half of b and we're going to square it. Half of b is, so half, we're going to take half of 2 because that's our b, and we're going to square it. Well, half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is, so I'm going to put a 1 here and a 1 there. Y equals x. This is minus, so this is minus. The square root of 1 is 1. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. Now, we're going to do example 2. You're going to notice in example 2 that A is not 1. A is 2. So when you go to do these, it's going to be very similar. But when you go to do these, you're going to pull the A out of the B2. So negative 12 divided by 2 is 6 plus the blank plus 17 minus the blank. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did before. What is half of 6? And 3 squared is 9. This is the biggest one right here that you are going to probably, that this is where most kids make their mistake. You guys remember I told you we pulled out the 2, right? Well, 2 times 9 is, so we're going to put 2 times 9 here. You have to do, so you guys remember, I always think of, I have to do 2 times 9 to get to this blank. So 2 times 9 is 18. So what did you pull out? So now we're going to rewrite it as y equals 2 x minus, and you guys, you can look at it this how you get this number 2 different ways. You can take half of 6 or you can take the square root of 9. They both give you the same answer. And then 17 minus 18. 17 minus 18 is negative 1. My vertex would be, so if it says negative 3, I'm going to write positive 3, and then that one just stays negative 1. So that's your vertex. So the biggest thing of when A is not 1 is you just have to remember that in the blank, the last blank, you have to multiply it by 2. Of course, we're going to do another one. Again, this one, if you guys are at home, this one is not on your notes. I'm just creating it right now. So, if I ask you to write it in vertex form, you need to ask yourself, is A 1? A is not 1, so that means I'm going to pull it out. And you guys, you're basically pulling it out of everything, so it's x squared. Negative 18 divided by negative 3 is positive 6x plus blank equals, nope, not equals,